Scuso di parlare francese adesso.
My apologies. My apologies for speaking French. I can't speak Italian all the time. I'm very, very pleased to be here. It's a great honor for me to be once again here in San Patrignano. Thank you so much, Laetitia. This, I think, must be about the 10th time that I've come here. I fell in love with the place thanks to your invitation, and I'm sure that you will all do likewise when we go off to lunch, where you can really feel the soul of San Patrignano. This is a great honor because we've managed to organize for the third time now, and hopefully for many years to come, we've managed to organize this Positive Economy Forum. It started in France, but it is international in nature. And the basic idea is to bring together people from the four corners of the planet who are working for future generations. They might be working in the social sphere, in the environment. They might be dealing with education, investment in infrastructure, people who aren't just thinking of them short term, people who are thinking not just of instantaneous satisfaction, but rather of what they can do for the future and the long term. Like yesterday, at dinner, there was a speaker who was talking about the importance of empathy. Altruism is also an important key word. This is perhaps a more wide-ranging concept, which indicates that it is in our interest that future generations be happier, because our own survival depends on that too. So this is a form of rational altruism. It's in our interest to be altruistic so as to be happier ourselves. That is at the very basis of the positive economy. We're very happy to be here. And Laetitia knows that I believe that this is a magnificent example of a positive economy model. It is of great interest to future generations. San Patrignano should be better known throughout the world. And when I suggested to Laetitia to organize this forum here, I was very, very pleased indeed to be able to do that. And I see that every year it's more and more successful. So thank you, Laetitia. Now, San Patrignano isn't that far from Rimini, and since we have established an alliance with the mayor of Rimini now, we really are allies, and here I am addressing my words to both Laetitia and the mayor, Mr. Gnassi. Next year, one of the major themes of the forum could be positive tourism. And we could bring together all those people in the world who are interested in the positive economy as described just now for us by the mayor. And we could think about these major future trends which are awaiting us. So what has happened since our last meeting? Can we take stock of the situation? What are the pros? What are the cons? Well, since our last meeting, there have been many, many negative things. First of all, throughout Europe, and in my country in particular, but throughout the world, there have been attacks, there have been absurd victims, intolerable events in Pakistan, for instance, recently. Nearly every day throughout the world, something happens, and this has really marked us over the past 12 months. That's definitely negative. What has happened in terms of positive achievements? Well, the conference on the climate in Paris was successful. And I'm turning here to its representative. The UN was instrumental in achieving the success of that COP21. And of course, now we have the Marrakesh conference. And then there are other matters which could be considered either negative or positive, depending on how you look at them. And here I'm thinking of migration. Now, the mayor of Rimini has referred to an enormous influx of tourists, and we know that this is on the increase, hence the importance of what I just mentioned, the concept of a positive type of tourism. 2 billion tourists are expected, but in 2050, there will also be 1.5 billion people who will be living on a continent which will be different from the one they were born in. Now, we're talking about 250 million at the moment. Now, I'm not talking about moving from country to country. I'm talking about going from one continent to another. Now, unless there are you take into account provisional barriers, mankind is embarking on a major movement, and we have to take that on board. Now, in Europe, we consider this in a very negative way. We're refusing migrants, we're setting up barriers and what have you. But we can also consider this phenomenon as an incredibly positive phenomenon. We should be brave enough to consider it as such, because how can you really talk about freedom if there's no free movement of people? How can you just refer to the freedom of goods and capital and not the freedom of individuals? This wouldn't be consistent. You can't really achieve full freedom if you just limit it to goods and services. So we who are the ambassadors of democracy, we must also be players. We must take in these people. And this harks back to what I was referring to earlier on when I referred to rational altruism. Not just because we feel sorry for these people, but because it's in our interest to take them in. And it is in the interest of Italy, if you don't mind my saying so. Italy, in the hierarchy, in terms of the positive economy, shows us that Italy is in a very poor position. It's in a poor position also because of the demographics of the country. A rational approach, a proper policy taking in these people will show, just like Germany has done, although it's had its ups and downs, shows that it would be possible to establish an agreement with people who are really actively willing to integrate. Now, we're dealing with a population of Europe with 500 million. If we just take in maybe 1 or 2 million a year, this shouldn't frighten us, because all you have to do is do the sums to realize that 1 or 2 million is 0.1, 0.2% maybe of the population of Europe. In other words, a drop in the ocean. So we now realize that there are phenomena out there which can be perceived as positive or negative. Today, we've decided to stress other aspects, other positive aspects, not just the economy. We'll be talking about art, education, human capital, precisely because we want people to be aware of the fact that we're creating the conditions so that future generations will be able to go even further than we have gone in terms of discovering the marvelous side to mankind. Thank you.